now listening to Kendra After Dark.
Hey, what's up? It's Kendra, and welcome back to Kendra After Dark. Tonight, I have my friend Kia with me.
Hello.
And I have known Kia since freshman year of high school. So, a long time.
Very long.
A very long time. And we had a couple different classes together. I think it was cool because I met you first in orchestra. We had that like the first period. And then I think last period we had sign language.
And that's pretty much all I remember is sign language.
And I don't remember the classes between that. I'm not sure if we had any together.
I don't think so, actually.
But high school was a trip. And then you went away. And then we reconnected on Facebook.
Yes.
Where everybody meets.
The joys of Facebook. Meet the people you wanted to stay away from. They still come to you.
Wonderful Facebook. Yeah, well, that's what the block button is for.
True.
At the same time, I'm kind of like, you can't block me in real life. So, do it all you want. Let's meet you at the Circle K later. No.
No, exactly.
All terrible. So, tonight we are going to be trying some Dark Prince, which is an indica that I picked up at Saints. And I asked Saints what exactly the strain info was for this, and they told me it's a phenotype of Optimal Prime, which is the mix of Gorilla Glue and Purple Punch, which is kind of awesome because me and Dominique tried Optimal Prime. So I have tried that too. I know how it should be. I haven't tried the Purple Punch, but I've tried Gorilla Glue on its own. So it's a heavy indica, so we'll have to see how it feels for sure.
Is it whack that I haven't even had Gorilla Glue? And if I have, I wouldn't even know.
I wonder if we've had Gorilla Glue together.
That's like a really popular one too.
A lot of people really like Gorilla Glue. Mm-hmm. So this should be good. It's a good little cross. So
I'm super excited, and I'm sober now, so.
And a phenotype of Optimal Prime, that's pretty cool because it's nice to know that there's, so much you can come from. Mm-hmm. We came out with this type, and then we created this type, and that's one of my favorite things about the medical marijuana industry. But I brought Kia on today because I wanted to talk about what exactly you can or cannot say when it comes to your relationship and how you talk to your friends. Because just in our relationship, we definitely have had some craziness, ups and downs, I would say. But when I was going through my finding out everything that was going on in my marriage, and, Kia was one of the people that I confided in, told a lot of the different stuff to. And in the end, I guess I really realized how much of an effect that gives to in a person. Because not only was I telling her all of the bad things that were happening during that time, I was telling her good stuff too. So it was very contradicting, kind of. My situation was very contradicting too, though.
Yeah, and I think another reason why we got so much closer in that is because I was going through somewhat the same, I was going through the same thing, period. Yeah. The only difference was I'm not married. Yeah. Wasn't.
It's a little different when you're married. And especially when you have a kid, you guys have a kid, so at least you have that connection. But being married, it's like, oh, awesome, you have this little extra paper that kind of ties you to this person.
Exactly, yeah.
So I want to just kind of, I guess, go over the different levels of exactly, what I've learned from that, what I feel like I can or cannot talk to you about people. I definitely know that me telling you the bad stuff that was happening in my relationship made it harder for you to want to be around my relationship.
It did, because for one, I saw the disrespect, and that hurt. And then also just, it's hard to be around somebody who's sad all the time, no matter how much you try to put out the positivity.
Yeah.
And I feel like when I would talk or listening to you talk, there was nothing positive I can say. Mm-hmm. And I felt helpless and hopeless.
Hard to make light of a situation that has no light.
Exactly. So that's what made it hard, but I still felt like I needed to be around. Mm-hmm. And so I tried to be there kind of from a distance more so. Yeah. Because it made it hard to be around you physically, because
I didn't notice how much all of that changed my attitude altogether as a person until actually being out of the situation and going back and reflecting. Well, yeah, no shit, I was negative. And that's something even now, I think a lot of negative stuff first. I don't think the positive things. And that's why I'm constantly like trying to put so much positivity into the things that I'm reading or how I want to be to people, because my immediate thought is usually like, okay, well, here's the negative things.
And then on top of that, you were kind of in a negative space for so long, so I figured that it kind of just, you felt nothing was going to get any better anyway.
Yeah, and I think that it did kind of take, well, because something else that I've heard recently, and it makes sense, and it definitely makes sense, because I fell into a situation that I had told so many people not to ever get into, or have people have come to me like you in a similar situation. I was like, nah, don't put up with that. You definitely don't deserve this, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, I was going through the same situation. Mm-hmm. And I think it was Mel Robbins. I'm reading her book right now. She said, you can help other people's situations very easily. It's your own situations that's hard, because you have things that are tying you to those feelings or these people and why you're feeling those certain ways. And when you're on the outside, there's no emotional connection, there's no strings. You're like, oh, that's not safe for you. You need to stop. Mm-hmm. You know? And so it was really easy for me to look at your situation and be like, hey, like, don't do this. I get that you don't have, or your feelings are involved, but this is not good. Don't allow this.
And at the same time, I completely understood everything that you were saying, and I was telling myself the same thing, and I was kind of telling you the same thing. We were telling each other the same thing, but not do anything about our situations at that time.
Yeah, we weren't taking control of being,
but we would preach it to each other.
We were giving each other the exact same advice, and then it was like, well, are you going to take that advice or no?
At the same time, I felt like we were both, well, I was waiting for you to make the first move, and then I was like, okay, because I always feel like you're stronger than me.
And then so it was different when I did make my move, because it took a long time, like, honestly. So I found out, I had an idea in October that something was going on. Pretty sure in my mind I had an idea that something was going on. And then in April is when I got the confirmation. That's when I definitely knew. I found everything I needed to. I knew it happened. From April to May, June, I was kind of just stuck in like I don't even know what to do now with this situation. And so then I was like, well, maybe I can work on things. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of where you and I started disagreeing, because that's when you got into that point of like, no, you shouldn't do that. You definitely shouldn't.
I just felt, once you did your separation, and then I was stuck in the situation, at the same time I felt like there was pressure.
I don't even mean the separation. I mean when I was trying to work on it by having like an open marriage.
Oh,
because I remember,
even then I had the thought in my head. I was like, well, let me see how it goes with them. And it did for a minute. It looked like it was okay, and I was like, well, maybe I should try that. And then I thought about it. I was like, I can't.
There was definitely like a facade of what was actually going on, because yeah, I could definitely play it real cool and be like, do, you know, everything is awesome. But when it came down to it, because there was a good amount of time that I talked to somebody that I was going to welcome into my marriage, or however that works, my side piece, I guess would have been the name of it, but then decided like, nah, I'm not going to go down that path. And so then what it was is when I met someone that I liked, that was not okay. And I was like, you had a full-blown relationship with someone else, but now you're not okay for like me to like someone. You know what I mean?
Or even just to talk to them.
And then so that's what made me realize like, okay, I'm definitely going to separate myself from this, because I was like, if it could have been even, I could have maybe dealt with it. Mm-hmm. But since it wasn't, I was like, I don't think I can't keep doing that, because then I'm like, well, I want this, and if it's not happening, it's like,
And see, that's another thing that I watched happen between that is he was completely excited. I could do this. I have this much freedom. I can go in whoever I want to.
And I was very reserved.
Yes, very. You still, I don't know how to explain it. You just kept to yourself until, he brought somebody along. And then I think he did everything to make that.
I tried really hard to make different things work. And that's, so reflecting on that now, I definitely would not ever put myself in a situation like that again. Ever. And mostly just because I realized that at the end of it, even if I was totally making him happy or thought I was making him happy, in turn, we were not happy. You know what I mean? So it was never like okay, well, this is going to be totally okay situation. So when I was like, cool, well, I want to have conversations with people all day and, be happy like that. If this is making you so happy, let me do that. Everything was fine basically until like when it happened, then it was not okay.
And I noticed that you guys were perfectly fine as long as he was getting whatever he wanted. But when it came to you and you were getting your little bit of attention, it was like, that's when the arguments would start.
Yep. And it was hard for me to see that on the inside at first, because I was just like, okay, well, maybe I kind of went around this the wrong way. You know what I mean?
Which you didn't, because you just were more respectful. And I think what it came down to is you were, maybe in his eyes, seemed like you were actually trying to talk to somebody, and he was like really anything that came that way.
Yeah, I guess so. I think that's the biggest difference between men and women, too. A lot of times there are definitely some women that don't have to emotionally engage with somebody, but a lot of times there's
have to have more of a different connection than just what the eye can see.
I agree. And I think, so when I decided, like, okay, this is definitely it, I think that's when I definitely felt you start pulling away. And I think that's because you were still in the...
trying to fight for mine.
Exactly. And not that it's bad to fight for a relationship. I'm not saying that nobody should fight for relationships, because the circumstances are definitely different. But I was, like, kind of still in a situation of... oh, well, you said.
I know.
You said you weren't going to deal with this, and here I am not dealing with this, and this is cool. I want to have fun, but I don't really want to be around this.
And I felt that too, and then it just felt after a while like it was, and then that's kind of the sayings that were going around. Well, what is it going to be? Do you care about friendship more, or do you care about relationship because it's tied with the family?
And you shouldn't have that.
No, it shouldn't be. And I say, I know that now.
Right?
But
I was put into the same situation in my past relationship too, where I would feel pressured to like choose that over anything else, whether it be going out for myself or anything. It would be like, or even like go to a guilty part where I felt guilty about what I'm doing.
And even though you go out there and do it, go out, try to do yourself, the whole time it's like checking your phone. Oh man, checking the time. It was getting really late. Oh, what are they? The whole time you're just constantly
right.
worried.
You're just kind of like,
doing.
Are they going to be upset because I'm doing
do
this?
I really? Yeah.
And it's not a good feeling.
Because then it destroys your time out.
Yeah.
And then everybody's constantly asking you, hey, what's wrong? Or, hey, why don't you try to enjoy yourself? And you're like, yeah, I am. But at the same time, I did it a lot too. I didn't want to say what was on my mind. But it's like, no, I am. I'm just like really tired, or it's been a busy week. Here comes the excuses.
Well, and what I learned in opening up so much with you is that just because I forgive something doesn't mean you will. And not just necessarily you, obviously, the understood you, whoever you're talking to. They might still hold that grudge. It's something that you got over entirely, but they're like, well, you remember the time you told me this? Like, that's not okay. You know what I mean? And that's something I find myself doing where I'm like, well, I'm not over that. So I don't know really how you got over it, but...
It becomes one of those situations, like the meme says, that you see everywhere. And I've shared it on Facebook a million times. When you're in the shower and you're just thinking about certain situations, like, oh, I wish I would have said that. That's when those moments come. And I think that's when, in the friendships, when you start talking about things, that's when old stuff comes up and you feel like you should have forgave, or you said you forgave.
And it's not really like you don't want to talk to those people about the issues, but like, for instance, I don't want you to develop, exactly, I don't want you to like be totally against somebody that I was upset with someone, and so then you make, you know, a thought in your mind that that's how you're always going to feel against that person, and expectations. If I tell you, hey, my dude is fucking talking to some other girl again, you're gonna get mad at him, and you're gonna hold that, and you're gonna be like, you remember when he was talking to so-and-so?
And that's why I hold back most of the things in my head, because I don't want that person to, I don't want my friend to be like, dude, you already went through this, why do you keep doing it again and again and again?
I know at some point it becomes kind of like a redundant thing where you're like, well, I know that you're gonna say something, so I'm not gonna say anything.
So let me really try to dig real quick and see what good has been going on, so I can at least make him sound good for this week.
Right?
Because next week it's going to be the same. So what has he done?
That's true. You highlight the positives.
And it's like...
becomes something different. You're like, well, actually... Especially when it's bad, though. Because I'm not saying that everybody does that in all relationships. I'm just saying if you've been in a bad relationship and you open up to your friend and they start developing that feeling of how they are towards that person, then you notice it and you're like, well...
That's when the point comes, what do I care more about? Literally, that's what it comes to, because that's where you have to...
I know, and that's
separate your time. It is. Because... literally, if you, and I tried it with you, alternate weekends. It never worked out because
you would tell me yes, and then he would be like, hey, and you'd be like, I don't want you to feel bad, so I'm going to go with you. And then I would write you and be like, hey, bitch, I've been trying to hang out. So when are we going to hang out?
And always the same excuse. I'm sorry, I know. I'm going to do it this time. It's the same thing. But
it's hard to juggle life, too, with everything.
It is.
Like, I can't... Some people do crazy amounts of stuff, and I don't know how the hell they do it. Make things, go play soccer, come and listen to podcasts.
Freaking hiking
all kinds
all the
of
time.
shit.
I'm literally an Uber driver.
But yeah, I don't know how people do so much because I get so tired. I go to work full time. I come home. I'm like, okay, cool. Even if I'm not making dinner, just even watching someone else make dinner makes me tired. And I'm like, I'm ready. And then it's like, okay, well, it's time for the kids to go to bed already. And by then I'm like, did I go to the gym today? Did I even make it? That was an extra hour. Was I able to was I able to fit it in? It's hard.
See, it is. And our schedules are completely different. I literally get up. I smoke. I've never smoked so much in my life until probably like the past 2 years. I've been like stoned every day, and I have to be stoned every day. When I go to work, I get up. I get up a half hour early, and sometimes I'll take 15 minutes to take a shower, and then the other 15 minutes I'll smoke. But I know I have to smoke before I go to work, otherwise everybody's day would be ruined. And I am the nicest person on earth.
So you like chill your nerves.
Yes. I do. And then I go to work. I usually work anywhere from 8 to 12 hours a day. I still have my 2 kids, and I have one to take to school. So it's like, what am I going to do?
That's how
half hour
I
late
like
to
know
work?
when to text you because you're usually awake about the time it is to take kids to school. So I'm like, hey, what's up?
Pretty much. And then I have 30 minutes also to text people before I get to work, because once I step foot in the workplace, my day is just done. I don't check on Facebook like not even 5 minutes. I used to be. But like every so often I could check it real quick, and it's usually the first 5 posts. And then back to work. I go to the bathroom once at work.
You're like, cool, I'm looking for a cup. Look at these posts.
Pretty
you're
much.
like, I'm done. I have to take this drink to someone, and I'm helping them for the next hour.
So then I'm at work, and then I get off, and then I have my 2 kids. I got the one that's crying, hey, I really miss you. We haven't spent all day together. And I'm like, hold up. I need to take my me time.
I always need me time right after work.
And they don't believe, nobody believes in it.
A lot of people do believe in it.
No,
everybody does it at
people
different
don't
times.
Respect it.
I agree. Yeah, that's hard. It's hard
I
to
try
find
to hide
people
my
that respect it.
We have one bathroom. I try to sneak in the door, but our door is loud. I literally run to the bathroom, close the door, lock it, take out my stash. I sit in there for like a half hour is all the time that I have for anything. If you notice, it's a half hour for everything.
Girl, during that half hour, I also went to the bathroom. I redid my makeup. I straightened my hair.
Smoked a cigarette, smoked half a blunt, because I can't smoke a bong before you go to work, because then you'll be like, really, I would be out.
I was explaining that to Kimberly before, because I was telling her the difference between a bong and a pipe. And I was like, when you hit a bong, it's like a bigger hit. I don't know how to explain it, but that's what I feel like.
It's literally how the bong looks like, how I feel it. The bong is my body. The bottom, I load up as much smoke as I can that I think I need based on usually my day or how my head is feeling. And then hit that, and it comes from the body up. Yeah. And then I feel it, as I
feel it all in your body.
All in your body. And then it's just like with that smoke that comes out, it's like every problem that you thought you was really an issue is just gone.
You're and like, that's I don't know what you're talking about. Issues.
Exactly. I walk out the door. I'm like, hey, Zip.
Right?
Hey, you.
You're ready to go, right?
Go to work. I'm like, hey, good morning. Any other day, it's like, I literally cry before I go in there. Any other day.
Real cry?
Yeah. You guys think I'm joking. It's bad.
Y'all know.
I just need a vacation. And when I say vacation, I need like a year's worth of vacation, because a week isn't going to do it. And I never have any time on a weekend, because just before I got here, as I was sitting here, actually, my schedule changed, and now I work an extra 8 hours tomorrow. So that's lovely. And I don't even have a choice.
It's just happening.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's my life.
That's what you have to do sometimes. You just kind of go with the flow, especially when you have kids.
What makes it
I've been
10 times
talking
harder.
about that before. Like, if you have kids and you need food, you will take whatever money you can make. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be, I made $100 today or whatever. It's whatever you need to go and get a meal.
Pretty much.
Or a couple meals, depending. How savvy you are with your money and things like that.
I'm a wreck with my money. But still, I mean, I know my kids eat. And I know that, I mean, I don't think that another thing that makes things overwhelming is, I don't think and it's because they're young, and that's understandable. They don't really realize how hard we work.
Right.
For that.
I think that's good, though. I don't really want my kids to know, like, how hard life is. I mean, I want them to know how hard life is, but I want them to be kids. I think there's a huge difference between letting a kid be a kid and, like, not know that you're broke and things like that, because then they develop their own little version of, well, I know you're going to say no because we're broke, so I can't ask you for this. And that sucks to see in a kid, because you're like, you want kids to be full of joy and happy and just all about everything. Mm-hmm. So it makes it a bit difficult, I don't know, to kind of maintain those. So do I teach you how it's totally going to be when you get older, or do I not?
Well, I always think you should, but now the question is, when do you do it? Because my oldest is 10, and I'm pretty sure she's heard, I'm sorry, I can't do that right now. I'm broke. I'm so broke. And that's literally my if you asked her what's my top 3 sayings, that's probably number 1.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it sucks to have to do that too, because also it feels overwhelming to me at points, because there's so much going on in my day, where it's, you know, I go and work all day, and I work like 9-hour days, 10-hour days, depending on my schedule. And I do that so that I can have basically a half day on Fridays. And that's the day that I kind of chill to myself. I get myself in a place where it's, you know, I didn't have to work all day, so I can come home, I can get stuff done. It's when I accomplish a lot around the house, and, you know, but even that, I have to work 4 long days in order to get that for myself. And during those days, I have to manage if I'm going to the gym, or if the kids have soccer, or whatever. So it's like kind of overwhelming no matter what I'm doing.
Exactly.
I definitely feel that dark prince in my eyeballs. I can feel the droopiness happening for sure.
I know my eyes are open, but I definitely feel it in my face.
I'm sitting here and I'm just out, but it feels really good. The other thing I was thinking is, I know that Optimal Prime is supposed to be for headaches, and the Purple Punch is supposed to be for back pain. And so we're definitely probably a heavy pain reliever. And I don't know yet, because my back still kind of hurts, but that's usually one of the last things that I feel the effect on. But I can definitely feel it all like behind my ears and in my face. So it's kicking in a bit.
Probably just takes a little time to get down, work its way down. Yeah, I feel it. I feel
like
just
a bong.
Pretty much. But I feel it all throughout my face. It's definitely in my eyes.
What do you think is the funniest thing your daughter's ever asked you?
Anything? I don't know. I'm
That's
serious.
not an answer.
The funniest thing.
She asks a lot of funny
She
stuff
does.
all the time.
She's so weird. They both are. I don't know.
I was like, they're your kids, so that makes sense. What's one thing you can think of that was super funny?
I liked when she was probably, I think 5, when she was she asked me where did babies come from, because she saw a book at my friend's house. And it was a kid's book, but it was one that like told the whole story.
It was like, this is the one you give your 10-year-old.
Yeah, it was very graphic. So she asked me, and I was like, well, what do you think? And she told me it's when the mommy and the daddy's bellies touch and they kiss, and then you have a baby. And I was like, well, then there you go. That was pretty hilarious.
How do you think that conversation would go now? I should have her on the show and ask her, where do babies come from, and see what she says.
Oh, she'd tell you.
See, because I've thought about it. I want to have Emery. I want to bring Emery, because Emery will be 8. I want to know what Emery knows. I think it's such and I definitely want to, and I think if you're listening and that's something you're interested in hearing, you should definitely let me know. But I want to sit down with her and just see like her view on the world, because I think it's so crazy, like kids, the difference between adults and kids, you know, and just like to know like the difference between, let's say, her and your daughter, of like, where do babies come from? And my kid might tell you that you just pick them up at the hospital. Like, we know they come, that's all of a sudden we go to the hospital and there's babies there.
I also think with them being different ages and the different topics, you could get more into my thought completely disappeared as soon as I looked at you.
She's all, this Dark Prince is heavy.
Yeah. I kid you not, as soon as I looked at you, it just went...
It was all my beauty. You were like, damn, Kendra, this red hair, it's so fancy.
Your eyes always get people, and your eyes are just, that's what pops
I know,
out
don't look at anything else, but look at my eyeballs.
Pretty much.
It's because I'm one of those awesome people with blue eyes. So it don't even matter.
You're lucky.
And just know if you have blue eyes and we have babies, they're going to have blue eyes because it's something about the chromosomes. It's definitely going to happen.
I always wanted a blue eye, but I got hazel, so
I have a hazel and I have a blue eye.
That's awesome.
And my hazel baby, they're so pretty.
Mm-hmm.
They're so pretty. I love it.
But with the kids show, I think you should do like your own version, not of kids say the darndest things or anything like that. Just have them talk to each other. Have them ask
see how they react to each other. That would be funny.
Have them ask the questions to each other. Like,
we should do that. I'll get your kid on too. But I want to talk to Emery because she has a wild imagination, and just to like see what her idea of, even like some of the topics we've talked about, relationships, I would like to see like her take on it, or even like the president. I wonder honestly how much my kid could tell me about that, or
maybe I'll learn why my kid actually does not like him, because I don't know. She just, every time she hears his name, is like, oh, I hate that guy. And it's like, why? What do you know that I don't? Because I don't pay attention at all, to be honest. And I should. I really should.
Yeah, you're all, wait, you developed feelings for that? And I don't pay attention. Like, no. And it's so different. Yeah, I want to see that. So maybe we can do that. And if you want to hear that, let me know. But
say yes.
Say yes. What about, so in a relationship then, with your current relationship, how long did it take you to introduce him to your kid? Because you guys have a kid together now, obviously, but I mean, yes. Your oldest.
It was probably a week or two.
That's it? So pretty quickly?
Yeah, because we moved in with each other we got together at the end of December. By February 15th, we were moved in together.
Whoa. Did you guys talk before that?
Yeah.
Or was it like you met each other and that's it? You decided to move in within a couple months?
No, it was an idea that was just sprung out by me because
I like that you throw that in there.
Well, I can't put any, if anything, he agreed to everything I said at the beginning. There was no arguments like, oh yeah, that's a good idea, let's go.
You were like, I'm in charge.
And I took it. Oh gosh, we did a lot, but it benefited a lot. So anyways, we got together at the end of December. He had his own place. My lease was up at the end of January. So we went ahead and I was like, hey, I'm moving into this place. We should be roommates. We could both save money this way. So we moved in. We ended up living together throughout our relationship from 2015 to about September 2017 is how long we were together, and living in the same roof, but it got too complicated.
So how is that, being in a relationship where you lived together and then decided to take some time apart, as far as still being together? Well, I mean, in your case, you guys weren't together for a while, right?
No.
But you were together.
Yeah.
This bitch said they weren't together, but realistically, she was with him all the time. Remember how she said she was trying to alternate weekends? That's when she wasn't with him. So she was still like, I'm totally with you. At least every other weekend, which turned into every weekend.
Pretty much.
So you guys had a title of not being together, but technically we're definitely together.
Yep. And that title is pretty much what gets you in trouble. But once he moved out, it was good at first for like maybe the first 2 weeks. But then I feel like lying became a bigger issue than it already was.
Like you lying?
No.
Oh, him lying.
It could be both of us, but more so him. Because I think that's when he got caught up in a lot more stuff that he was doing that he said he wouldn't be doing, is when he was away. Yeah. That's when I found out more things. And so, like I said, that was like September or October of 2017. And then currently now we're still not living together.
Yeah. So, but it's good-ish now, right?
It's good-ish. And we fight about this actually now because I feel like we should be living together, because he doesn't realize that all he does is go to work, go home, and does whatever he wants. Like, he doesn't have to deal with the kids whatsoever.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yet he claims mine that isn't biologically his, and then he claims this daddy's girl title. And it's like, you only see her on the weekends, and that's...
Does he make it a point to, like, see her more than the weekends, or is it legit the weekends?
It's legit the weekends.
I mean, and it's definitely good to be around. I don't want to knock on somebody who wants to be around, but I could also see how it's overwhelming. If it's overwhelming to me, shit, I'm sure it could be overwhelming to a dude too. And I definitely want to talk with like, and I'm gonna have people on later on in the show who are fathers of children too, to kind of get that side, because I, obviously I'm a chick, so I'm only gonna have one way of thinking, or maybe I have a couple ways of thinking, but either way, I'm a female. So it's gonna be different.
That's a good idea too. And I feel like they'd be more honest on here, because I feel like I'm more honest on here than I would be anywhere else.
It's because we smoked that bud.
Probably.
It's really hitting me right now, so...
I know.
There's that. But I also think it's good, like I said earlier, because now we're definitely talking again more than we have. Even with this whole podcast, you've been helping me, and that's super awesome. I appreciate that a lot, by the way.
No problem.
But
I was excited.
I think it kind of just took a point of me being like, during all those times that I told you stuff, I understand that you developed your own opinion, but I'm not going to hold my own opinion against whatever you do. That's not fair. And I guess it took a while for me to kind of totally understand that. Or even to like sit down and be like, hey, this is actually, I can see this problem. Like, this is obviously what's happening. At least we can address it and know it's the issue and not be like, all right, bitch, are you mad at me? Like,
I think what it was is I just felt like an attack. Like, hey, this is what you need to do, and you need to do it now. And it's like, I had everybody from so many directions just attacking me with...
Telling you all the same thing that you weren't ready to do.
Not everybody said the same thing. That's the thing. Like, one of my best friends, her and my guy, they really had at it on Facebook, and it really, I think for a year they didn't talk, and then one time he apologized and everything was okay, and even she would say, and it's both of them, they're a couple, they'll both say like, oh, I can see how he's changing here, and I can see how it benefits, but everybody knows, I mean, they've been with us since the beginning too, like since the very beginning, so they've seen everything that we've been through. Right. So I think it depended on who it was coming from. And I just felt with us, no matter what I said, even if I were to say hello and not want to talk about my guy, it would end up being that conversation.
And that's because we had talked so much about shit like that before that it was like, it had become the norm.
Yeah.
So it was weird because I'm like, I know you're still with Eric, obviously.
Yeah. And that's when I learned there's some things you do say and you share, and there's some things that you keep to yourself and
then I think I told you too, like, if you're just trying to vent or whatever, just tell me that, because I think there's a difference between, hey, I need some feedback on this, or I need to say some shit because it's bothering me.
True.
You know what I mean? And I think if you asked for feedback, then be willing to take whatever it is. You don't have to act on it.
I agree, but I don't know what I asked at that time either. I don't know. I think I just, like I said, at that time, for this almost 2 years, well, a year and a half that it was the toughest time of trying to learn what love really is. Mm-hmm. What it is to be a family and how to make a family and how to devote yourself and take care of yourself. And those are the blocks that I'm like trying to work on right now. Yeah,
because for me it was a lot of like how to love yourself and not just be in this relationship. Because I had forgotten a lot of like self-care and things like that. So that's something that, we definitely talk about all the time, like, take care of yourself. Make sure that you're taking a moment for you and it's not just go for someone else.
Exactly. And that's sad that, like you were saying before, we do whatever we can to make the money for our kids. Mm-hmm. And that's what I do, and that's why I'm always on the go. And like I said earlier, I'm not technically an Uber driver, but I pretty much am. And with that comes, again, when it comes to hanging out, that gets in the way. Because
I gotta drive someone somewhere, and it's all not even you.
Exactly.
Well,
even if it's just up the street, it's just the fact that I have to do it, and it's just me. Because I'm not gonna have...
you have to learn how to say no.
It's not that. I'm not going to have my family that's helped me with anything that I've asked for without question. I don't want them to feel like they have to go find their own way when I'm there for them too. I will give it to them lately though. They've been giving me a little bit more of a break. Like my sister's been helping out too. And I'm very proud for that. I am so thankful because it feels good to actually sleep through the night sometimes and not have to get up at like 11 and they go to sleep and they have to get up at 2 or 3 in the morning and they go to sleep and have to get back up at like 6. 6:30.
I guess that's kind of a whole nother thing to talk about too, but I mean, when you're an adult, you got your own shit to take care of. And as far as I know, like parents and stuff like that, they're adults too. And I come to myself personally, like finding a line between how much I do for other people and how much I do for myself. Because I'm a people pleaser, so I get stuck in doing for others when I definitely shouldn't be, because I should be taking that time for me. And then I feel guilty, like you just explained right now, how you were like, I don't want my family to feel like I can't help them because they've helped me so much. I mean, cool, they've helped you so much, but that's what you do when you're a family.
True, but that's another thing I think other people have.
If it's like hurting your mind, or like you don't have the 30 minutes to yourself, like that eventually is going to become something that is either builds resentment or could even be self-destructive. So as long as you maintain like a balance of, for sure, okay, cool, I will do this, but you know, I'm only available within this time or whatever, I think that's fine. And I think that's something that we've kind of
we've talked
crossed
about
on the line before too, because I'm all, man, you do too much for people, and you do a lot, and I do a lot too, but I'm always like, damn, calm down.
I know. I'm like you, 4 hour, I work off of like 3 to 4 hours of sleep. And it's starting to really attack me now.
Yeah, it's
more so lately. I can see it in my body. I can see it in my actions. And it's just, I'm so short-tempered. And I don't yell at people. That's the thing. And I just look like, especially my oldest. Oh my God.
Not yelling at people is good though.
Not yelling?
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
You said I don't yell at people, and I'm all, that's good. You're the type of person I want to be around me. Like,
but I'm just saying, like lately, with being so short-tempered, I've been yelling. And my oldest gets Jada, she gets the most of it, because she's with me the most between dropping her off at school and then picking her up and then dropping her off at my friend's house to be babysat so I could go to work the next day. Like, she's the one who's with me the most.
Right.
So it's just like, she doesn't understand that it's like, come on, we got to move. And she's just she's a sloth.
She's so chill though. She's like,
She's like, what's 5 minutes? It's just 5 minutes, Mom. I'm like, 5 minutes is... Yeah, 5 minutes is a lot of money. Do you not understand? It adds up. So I need that.
I definitely like this Dark Prince. I would get it again. It looks super good too. It's very crystally.
It is.
It has a lot of like purple and orange throughout it, and I felt it super quick. Like I don't even think we talked about it as soon as I started feeling it. I felt it pretty instantly. And I definitely... It calmed my back, which is cool, because only these strains so far that I've tried, this Optimal Prime and now this Dark Prince, I guess because they're kind of the same, have helped me. I don't have very much pain relief usually from like flower. That's why I do the edibles or the drinks or, you know, tincture, things like that, because that usually makes my back feel super good. But this was good, and it smells good. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, I want that. That looks pretty.
I was super excited as soon as I saw it. It looked beautiful.
So I got it at Saints, which is in Tucson. It's Southern Arizona Integrated Therapies, I think. Yeah, I believe so. I'm all terrible the way I said it right now, but we call it Tucson Saints, and I've done a show with product from there before. So I'll definitely put it on my website, and you can check out Kendraafterdark.com at any time and catch us on social media. Where can people find you?
Instagram.
You're all, I don't know. What is my own handle? I'm not exactly sure. You should know this. Super important, because I'm gonna tag you. It's TRAYFORD, and that is your Instagram handle.
It sure is.
I definitely appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you. I had fun.
And I think overall we definitely learned that we have to be understanding that no matter what my opinion is, you're gonna do whatever you want to do, and vice versa.
Exactly.
And I think it's good to like know that about people, and that way you don't have an expectation of, well, I said this, why aren't you doing that?
Mm-hmm. And we tried it this week, this past, within 2 weeks ago, and I think
it seemed fine.
It seemed fine to me.
And especially when you're like mature about the situation and can address it right on, it's like really easy to get over.
And even he left thinking he was very proud.
That's
and
good.
He felt a little more comfortable.
He's always welcome. Maybe I'll have him on later on. Well, we'll see.
I hadn't asked him.
Big ol' maybe. Just kidding. Thanks again so much for tuning in to another episode of Kendra After Dark. Also, make sure that you're checking out Red Dragons Radio. Red Dragons Radio is a one-stop shop for some of the best podcasts on the internet, covering entertainment, TV, music, movies, wrestling, MMA, sports, and more. Red Dragons Radio is your one-stop shop for the podcasts you want to hear.